Our buried lead now. Buried lead is what we call stories we think deserve much more attention than they're getting. It's the one object most of us probably would not want to leave home without, our smartphones. But a new documentary reveals how your phone could actually be spying on you, not just tracking your every move, but handing over your access to all your personal photos and your texts and your emails, even turning on your phone's microphone and camera, recording you without you even knowing it. It's a terrifying scenario, and it's no longer the stuff of sci-fi thrillers. You can learn about it in the new HBO documentary, Surveilled, which comes to HBO on Wednesday. Take a look.
So you're hacking these phones. What kinds of reactions did you get?
It's jaw-dropping. It's very impressive the first time that you see it.
What was the pitch that you were offering these governments?
Usually we had like one iPhone, one Android device. We used to demonstrate how we can exfiltrate the data from those devices, actively take snapshots of the screen or pictures from the camera, actively record through the microphones.
What should the average citizen in any country in the world know about this company and this technology?
It's very powerful. It's very intrusive.
Should people be concerned?
Yeah.
Here now, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and producer of HBO's documentary Surveilled, which I should note, like CNN, is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. Here with us, Ronan Farrow. Ronan, good to see you. Congratulations on the new doc. So spyware companies say that their programs can help authorities prevent terrorism, fight criminals, but critics also warn that spyware can violate civil liberties. And you have firsthand experience because you've been a target of spyware because of your reporting on Harvey Weinstein. Explain all of this.
I have been targeted by both old school surveillance and also tech-driven surveillance, or have had my phone location tracked, for instance. And it opened up a world to me of just how commonplace this is. And what we've seen in recent years, Jake, is the world already knows that under repressive regimes, this happens all the time. We saw the prominent example of Jamal Khashoggi, the Washington Post journalist who was murdered, and there was an allegation that on the phones of people around him, this very powerful spyware, Pegasus, was found. Pegasus can turn your phone into a listening device. It can, without you ever knowing, crack into your photos, your most personal data. And we've seen a string of those examples around the world. But now we've seen it happen in Western democracies over and over again. Part of this film is set in Spain, where we document one of the largest clusters of political dissidents, opposition politicians, activists, civil society members, all being hacked. And we've seen similar scandals in Poland, in Greece. So part of the message of this film is it could happen here, and that we've seen the beginnings of that under the first Trump administration, there was the purchase of this same technology, Pegasus. The FBI said only to test, but the New York Times later reported they came very close to operationalizing it. And in recent months, Jake, we've seen ICE, for instance, purchase a similar powerful Israeli spyware technology from a company called Paragon. So you now have Donald Trump coming in with campaign promises, including mass deportation, and technology that could really transform the way that those promises are executed in a way that civil liberties experts and privacy law experts tell me everyone should be afraid of, whether you're in a vulnerable category like a journalist or an activist or someone awaiting an immigration hearing or not. Because once you start using this without guardrails, what we've seen in all of these cases around the world is democracy falls away, and suddenly people who don't expect to be on lists are being targeted, and it's a basis for them being intimidated.
So there's a fascinating scene in your documentary where a now former member of the European Parliament from Spain, who was in favor of independence for Catalonia, has his phone tested to see if it had been infected with spyware, and it was determined it had been at least twice. What is it like to find out that there has been surveillance going on, electronic surveillance going on for you, since you went through that too? And what can I do, what can our viewers do to try to make sure that this doesn't happen to them, other than not clicking on unfamiliar emails and texts?
Well, that little vignette is a great example of the stakes, because that's a politician who is peacefully pushing for a specific agenda. In this case, there's an autonomous region in Spain, semi-autonomous, Catalonia, that you mentioned, and there's a lot of activists there, and there's politicians representing the people there who think it should be independent. You can agree with that or not, but what you saw is that his discussions of that policy effort in private and in the European Parliament were potentially all being disgorged to his political enemies, who at the same time were cracking down. The regime in Madrid was behind a bunch of violent arrests and crackdowns in that region. So you see a shrinking space for just forms of free expression. And that means, less freedom of press, less freedom of political opposition. Everyone should be worried about that. And to the other part of your question, on a personal level, it's devastating. We also have the stories in this film of just innocent bystanders, completely apolitical family members of people who were targeted, who also got infected. We have another scene where, the sibling of an activist, it gets tested and they find in real time she's been infected. We have, doctors whose patients' information is compromised, and you don't know where that information is going or how it's going to be held over you, used against you, used as a basis for some illicit arrest. Now, these are things we don't expect in a democracy, but it is happening in democracies, and we have the tools here in this government to do it increasingly. So what the Trump administration does on this is going to be pivotal.
Well, what should Congress do? What should journalists do? What should the public do?
Couple of simple things. I mean, one is, if you care about this issue and you see these stories and you're moved by it and you see how invasive this is and how it shrinks the space for you to operate freely in our society, you should write to your representative and say, hey, I care about regulation and legislation that is going to prevent this from being a free-for-all like we've seen in some of these other Western democracies. Two, on a personal basis, shut off your phone every day, reboot it. That doesn't foil every form of spyware, but it foils a lot of them, Jake.